Okay, so in this video what we want to do is we want to examine how to use an object, how to make the amount stored in the inventory decrease and then have it disappear when it's no longer utilized. So let's jump into our inventory control and we need to add a new routine. It needs to be outside of void update, so you don't want it to be there, so it has to be outside of that, very important. And we're just going to paste it in here and then review it. So just like in item control we had on mouse down, we're doing a similar function here. We're doing void on mouse down, but this time the script is attached to the slot objects. Okay, so we're checking to see if you're clicking on the slot as opposed to clicking on the store items over there. So it's pretty straightforward. Again, when you do GameObject.name, whatever object the script is attached to, this is checking its name. So if the object name is red gem, then decrease by 1. If the object name is blue gem, decrease by 1. So on and so forth. So it's just the same thing, rinse and repeat. If GameObject.name equals whatever, total item minus equals 1. And it's just rinse and repeat. Now here, if total item is less than 1, then the total text gets set to blank. In other words, we don't want it to be a 0. We've talked about that before. So when you're using an item, if it goes from 1 to 0, this says, okay, don't display a 0, set it to blank. Also, it should no longer display as that object. It should no longer, or that sprite I should say. It needs to instead be the empty object, which we set up here. And the GameObject.name gets returned back to slot. So say it's red gem, you have one of them, it goes to 0, so now that's less than 0. It no longer shows a number, goes to blank instead of being the red gem, and the name of the object goes back to slot. So now this is just tracking usage. You're not actually really doing anything with that object yet. So let's save that. So let's click. Got 3 of them. 2, 1, and it's gone. And say if you click on a few more times to see if you can break it, let's go ahead and click on another one. And you can see, indeed, it acknowledged that was blank, because if it thought it was still a green gem, it would have popped over to the next one. Now there is a limitation to this system, and I'll show you what it is. So let's use that and then click on this. It's not going to work right. Instead of stacking here, it's going to go here. So that's one limitation with this system, and again, it's because of what we discussed in the last video, where what Unity is doing is looking at the most recently created object and it's checking that one first. So it's your choice how precise you want this to be. Do you want to go through the trouble of making that work or not? As far as how you'd make it work, just briefly, the script that's attached to the slot, okay, you'd have to add a new variable up here. It would not be static. You want it to be local because you want every single slot to have its own variable. And you would set a number to that variable, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 16. And then in here, you would have to run additional script that checks that number first. Well, not this number. It would have to check the new variable that you created. So if you want, I can go through that. But to be honest, in most games, inventory tends to be a bit of a disaster anyways with things being utilized. So possibly we can either work on that in the next video, or maybe we'll add a sort functionality. But for now, basically it works. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a few more variables. And this is really dealing with integration into your system now, however you're going to use this. So let's create public static, and let's call it hero HP. Public static hero defense. Public static equipped item. And actually, sorry, I didn't put in the type. So this should be an integer. This should be an integer. And this should be a string. So here's how this would work. Why? No. No space. So we save that. And this is how it would work. So say the red gem increases hero defense. So since it's a static variable, we have to say what script it's in. Hero defense plus equals 20. So it's going to increase it by 20 when you use one. And please note that needs to be within brackets because you've got more than one line. So usually best practice is to increase the brackets. Let's see, so just type it manually. So inventory control dot hero HP plus equals 50. Say the blue gem increases HP. And now we just need to put in a way to actually prove that this is happening. Now we can copy and paste. And let's do one for the equipped weapon. So if game object dot name equals scythe, then inventory control dot equipped item, probably should have called it equipped weapon, equals game object dot name. And let's put the debug here too. So add the bracket. Now let's run it, and what's going to happen is it's just going to appear down here. And then once we coded with the red and the blue, so let's click on red a few times. So as you can see, it's up to 5. We use 1, 4, and that stat did indeed increase. We'll click on another one, 3, stat increased again, 2, 1, all used up. Number is not increasing, so it does not think the gem is there anymore. Put in a few blues, and there we go. So now it's just a matter of, I use these placeholder Static variables, you would need to put in your own static variables, like hero defense. That'd be part of the calculation when looking to see how much damage has been mitigated, how much damage has been reduced when the enemy hits you. Hero HP, increasing, I guess that'd be like a heal gem. You would do that for a potion. For the scythe, let's do that as well. So we'll click on the scythe. We click on it, and depending on the game, you may or may not want that. Some games, if you equip an item, it gets removed from your inventory. Others are more punishing and they require it to be part of your inventory. Purely preference, but looks like that did not work, so let's find out why. So game object equals scythe. Oh, actually I think it just typed, I think it did work, it's just the name is the same, so the display isn't any different from when you click on it and put into inventory from when you use it. So let's just make this a little more clear. So we'll type U equipped, the plus sign, and I'm uncertain why C# does this, because when you're doing an AND in an if statement, use the double ampersand, but for some reason when you're doing a concatenated value, you use the plus sign. So it's been saved. Click on the scythe, click on it. So it was working, it's just that because the printout was exactly the same, we couldn't tell that it was working. So that's about it for this video. Actually, let's take care of the stacking of the scythe. That's actually a very easy fix. It's going to make one of these statements look even more horrendous, but not too much we can do. So this is where the increment is occurring. It looks to see if an object has been clicked. It looks to see if the game object name is equal to what's been clicked. If so, then that game object gets incremented. So this is where we have to put in the additional condition. So we say and the game object name we're going to do is not equal. So if you haven't seen that before, that's how you say is not equals. Like in some languages, you might see the less than and the greater than sign. In this, you put an exclamation point before the equal sign. So just as you say not and then equal, it's the exclamation point and then equal. So same sequence. And we just make sure that it's not scythe. So that should be an easy fix. We're just going to make sure that it didn't accidentally break anything else, though. Perfect. Each one took up their own space. And while we're at it, let's copy and make a couple more of these. Make sure the right item control is being, counter is being used. And we'll push that over. Now we've got 4. Let's make one more. So it goes onto the next line. And since we did not make the copy until the script is added, nothing to change. The script is already fully written, and so all the functionality is already there.